Clock. We are looking at calm weather in Louisville now as we take a look live at the Big Ford Bridge. But within the past 30 minutes, a tornado watch was issued for Metro Louisville and most of the WHAS11 viewing area. The WHAS11 night team is the most important newscast you're going to see right now. And at this late hour, we're going to give you the most accurate location of the severe weather, where it is to the moment, extreme winds, possible strong tornadoes, big hail and power outages. And the worst part of it all, it is going to be coming in the darkness as most of us are asleep. And hello, everybody. I'm Doug Prophet. That is what we're dealing with right now, as you need to also have a plan if it gets really bad in just a few hours. Meteorologist Colleen Peterson is updating the timing. And Colleen, anything new within the past hour?
Yes, very new. We have a tornado watch in effect, and this kind of increased our chances of seeing tornadoes, saying, hey, we're getting close to the event, and now it's likely to see tornadoes in the areas highlighted in pink on the map. This is that tornado watch that's in effect. Yes, it includes southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and a lot of populated communities, Jefferson County, Bullitt County, even as far south as Breckenridge County until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. It is in effect right now, but that radar still very quiet. We have quiet conditions right now. By the time we head towards 2 o'clock, that's when that line will really start to develop, which, yes, it hasn't even developed yet. We're looking at it right here. See that little storm starting to fire up east of Springfield? Just along that line, it's going to continue to strengthen and then across Paducah and then Evansville and then enter its way here in Louisville. So that enhanced risk remains the same. It did retreat a little bit farther north. Now Bardstown and E-Town are under that level 2, but all modes of severe weather are possible. This also includes a strong tornado along that line and large hail, 2 inches in diameter. So this is going to be a strong system if it happens to develop. We're not saying it's likely, but it is possible to see a strong tornado embedded in this line. So by the time we head towards 2 o'clock, that's when that line will start to enter. Been fairly consistent with model runs of starting to blossom around Louisville. So just along the leading edge of that line, that's where we could see maybe some isolated rotation. And then that is that time window, 4 o'clock in the morning, of where we could see that strong tornado. Doug?
Well, let's talk about that timing right there, Colleen. 4 a.m. That's a critical point for school districts. They need to be making decisions. Do kids need to be standing outside? We want to point out the language you're using again. The tornado, if it were to come, would be a strong tornado, not the spin-up tornadoes that we're used to seeing this time of year. Yeah,
we have a lot of wind shear. That's a really great question, because if we happen to see something, it's going to be short-lived because it's a line, right? Those little kinks that we see there in that forecast model, that is where we can see the spin-ups. It could have that potential to drop and be strong, but then start to weaken and lift again and then drop again. So it is going to be a long system. As that line passes through and moves across E-Town and Bardstown, it will start to weaken. So by the time we're talking 6 o'clock, that is going to be that crucial hour as to where they make that decision for kids in school. Hopefully there's no damage reports from this system, but I'll keep you updated. Doug?
Okay, Colleen, thank you again. She'll be joining us again in a few minutes, and we want to say no word yet from any of the schools around the area, including JCPS. Now, ahead of the storms, the Louisville Emergency Management Operations Center was activated at a level 1 status today. Now, that's the lowest level. Louisville's Emergency Services Director, Jody Myman, encourages you to have new batteries in your weather radio, charge your cell phone, make sure that's happening now, and keep your emergency kit and also, he says, a pair of sturdy shoes right next to your bed in case you have to move fast in the middle of the night. He's also going to be at the Emergency Center downtown throughout the storm. LG&E tells us that they also have crews on standby overnight to respond if needed. Now, here's our severe weather plan for WHAS 11 News overnight. Colleen is going to be staying right here. Chief Meteorologist Ben Pine and the rest of our storm team arrive in just a little bit from now. And they're going to be on the air when a warning happens immediately. And even if your power goes out, you can still get those updates and severe weather alerts through the free WHAS 11 app. Again, once again, remind you, charge your cell phone. Ben will also be tracking those storms throughout Good Morning Kentuckiana. And again, that begins at 4:30, but we could also be on the air way before that. Now we want to bring you more of the top local stories new from the night team. 4 people shot, 1 of them killed at a Fern Creek apartment complex very late last night. WHAS 11 night team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Addie Hill went back to the scene of the shooting, talking to a stunned neighbor.
Neighbors at Fern Creek's Overbrook Apartments are trying to move forward after Monday night's deadly shooting. Louisville Metro Police say 1 man died and 3 others were injured on Overbrook Woods Place.
My girl, she called me and asked me was I okay, and I was like, It lost me. I was like, well, for what? Yes, of course. Of course I'm fine. She was like, she heard some gunshots and stuff.
The shooting happened just before midnight on Monday night, and neighbors I talked to say the gunshots woke them up.
I was shocked because I was like, because it's normally quiet over here.
Timothy Jennings says his heart dropped when he came home from the store and saw about a dozen officers in his apartment complex. He's lived here for 9 months and says it's rare to see violence around here.
It's nice. It's real nice. And it's nice people around here. You know, you don't see too much going on, see too many people out, and most people working. It's normal working hard people.
When officers arrived, they performed life-saving measures on one man, but he died at the scene. 2 other men were also suffering from gunshot wounds and were taken to U of L Hospital. Officials believe they will survive. In an update, Louisville Metro Police say a 3rd man was found inside the apartment suffering from a gunshot wound. Officers say he is also expected to survive.
I feel bad for their family, man. It's crazy. Another child got to grow up without another parent, man. It's wild, man.
At the end of the day, Jennings hopes more people put their guns down.
I would want everybody just to stop the violence and keep the peace. You know what I mean? Because we have to have unity amongst each other.
While he keeps those affected by the shooting in prayer. In Louisville, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Detectives are asking anyone with information to contact them. Use the anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD, and you can also use their online portal. A man taken into custody after a police chase in Miami, Florida, is now charged in connection with a homicide right here in Louisville. Police arrested Libos Caromina after this chase and crash yesterday in Miami. Investigators say the red Camaro he was driving belonged to a man who was killed at a home in the Iroquois neighborhood of Louisville. Officers found Alan Garcia Perez dead from apparent blunt force trauma on Sunday. Today, Louisville Metro Police say a fugitive warrant for murder was served on Mena. He's currently being held in Miami on multiple charges. All new tonight, more witnesses and evidence introduced tonight in the 2nd day of the trial to decide whether or not to remove Councilmember Anthony Piagentini from his council seat. WHAS 11 Night Team's Alex Dederer and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie were back in the council chambers tonight. And Alex, more witnesses. Who took the stand tonight?
Well, Doug, we heard from 2 witnesses today in the ethics trial of Anthony Piagentini. The original ethics complaint against Piagentini was filed by Kevin Fields. He's the CEO of an organization that was seeking the same grant money Piagentini's future employer received, a move the first witness agreed with in her testimony tonight.
Had you planned to file a complaint if Mr. Fields had not?
Yes. Former Chief of Civic Innovation and Technology for Louisville Metro Government Grace Simrel took the stand, testifying she would have filed an ethics complaint if Kevin Fields had not. She told the council court she was surprised to hear Anthony Piagentini had accepted a role with the Louisville Healthcare CEO Council, or CEOC. He had co-sponsored an ordinance allocating that same organization $40 million in federal funds just weeks before, then took a 6-figure job with the group that got the money.
When this was disclosed, I mean, there was an audible gasp in the room.
In her role with Metro government, Simrel was responsible for scoring the applications for American Rescue Plan grant funds. Simrel testified the application from CEOC scored very low, 29 out of 30 of eligible projects.
This would be, in fact, for the CEOC, a startup for them. They did not have the staff yet for this project. They had never done this before, as far as we could tell, at least everything that they submitted in their application. And it would be really difficult to achieve the outcomes.
Former Metro Council member Bill Hollander was also called as a witness. He was at the council meeting where Piagentini abstained from voting on the ordinance he co-sponsored for the funding. Hollander said Piagentini did not abide by the abstention rules laid out by the federal government.
And the rules, which were in the final rule, which I had read, said that undisclosed personal or organizational conflicts of interest, whether in fact or appearance, were not allowed in allocating federal recovery money. And so I think we potentially would have had a problem with the federal government.
Piagentini's attorney, Brooke Smith, showed multiple videos of other Metro Council meetings where other council members abstained and did not disclose why. Hollander said abstentions were rarely questioned, citing trust in other council members. More witnesses and evidence are expected to be presented tomorrow. We will be right back in the council chambers with the latest information for you from the trial. In studio, Alex Dederer, the WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Alex, thank you. We'll look for the coverage tomorrow. Right now, new on the night team, a state senator from Louisville is working to protect in vitro fertilization services in Kentucky after a controversial ruling in the state of Alabama. Senator Cassie Chambers Armstrong's bill would clarify state law affirming IVF as a legal procedure within Kentucky. It would prevent doctors from being charged with a crime if they're meeting the standard of care. The Alabama Supreme Court recently ruled frozen embryos are unborn children, creating concerns of legal action against those who discard frozen embryos. Some Alabama fertility clinics have put treatments on hold.
After that decision, I heard from a lot of people who said, I hope this isn't going to happen in Kentucky. And so I began working on legislation, trying to keep it as narrow as possible, just to make sure that we are providing that protection to our IVF providers to make sure they can continue to provide this service for families in our community.
State Senator Armstrong there says she's received support for the bill from both sides of the aisle. We contacted the Senate Majority Caucus for a response to the proposal, but were told leaders needed to review it before commenting. Legislation is also being worked on at the federal level on this. Senate Democrats have filed a bill to establish the statutory right to access assistive reproductive technologies, including IVF. Today, the U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary traveled to Alabama to meet with families impacted by the decision.
This is a state Supreme Court decision. We're trying to figure out at the federal level what we can continue to do to try to be supportive of people who want to access their health care rights.
Lawmakers in Alabama are also working to protect IVF services. The state's governor says she expects to have a bill to remove the uncertainty for IVF clinics.